Go for it.
Oh, yeah. Just one pre-roll today, the only one that matters. It's Athletic Greens. If you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/JRVP. That's athleticgreens.com/JRVP. Check it out. Somehow it's fitting, Anthony. It's our only pre-roll for episode 200. We're maxing this thing out. We're going to announce the results of the Erotic Fan Fiction contest. We're going to hear from Anthony's Godchildren. It's all coming up in episode 200 of the Jeselnik and Rosenthal Vanity Project. JRVP.
Junior Vice President.
The clock is running. Make the most of today. Time waits for no man. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. That's why it's called the present.
They said we couldn't do it, Anthony.
No one said that.
No one said it. No one cared.
No one cared at all.
But we did do it. We started September 11th, 2018.
Really?
Yep.
I knew it was September 11th, but 2018.
Never forget.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for making the most obvious joke. Yeah, I mean, I guess what's that? That's 5 years. I guess we took a break when we moved between Comedy Central and All Things Comedy.
There's some breaks in there. There used to be like seasons where we would have a little bit of a break when we were at Comedy Central, but more or less cranking through for 4.5 years. Do you want to hear the first thing you said on the Jeselnik and Rosenthal Vanity Project?
Chair VP.
Junior Vice President.
Sure.
Okay. I mean,
what if I said no? What if I had been like, no, I'm good?
I know you like surprises. I listened to JRVP episode 1 on the way over here today, because you know how I like waiting until the last minute to do things. And I surprised you with some clips on that episode too, from our JVP. But this was the first thing you heard, you said on the show.
True love rises again. You think you watched football last weekend? Then you're a damn fool. You watched nothing. The season starts now.
It's really funny to me that this started as a football podcast, kind of like we were gonna keep what our JVP was and keep talking about football, like off the field issues, and then immediately abandoned that.
Like, I totally forgot that because we were confused that in Spotify we're listed under sports. Mm-hmm. And now, after listening to that episode, it makes total sense because that is literally how we introduced the podcast. That it was going to be an off-the-field sports stories podcast.
Yeah, and then we got bored of that.
The whole first episode.
We got bored of that immediately after a couple of weeks, and stopped doing it.
But there have been some themes, I would say, that have basically stayed the same throughout. This was another mention from you within the first couple minutes of the show that I think it's stayed consistent.
Half his money. Then that's what this is. So at some point,
Aaron blew the time code. Gregg blew the time code. I believe the clip was about me referencing giving Gregg half the money, which makes sense. Good idea. Bad execution. That's the JRVP way. That's how we do things here.
I'm not even going to the third clip now.
How high do you think we get? What number do you think we get to on this podcast?
I mean, now I think we're in a groove. I could see it. At one point, I would have been surprised that it would have got to 200, that you wouldn't have gotten sick of it, because you kept getting sick of it at various points, especially at Comedy Central.
As Comedy Central, I was always a little bit mad, a little annoyed, especially with the no ads thing, not realizing how much money we were making for not doing any ads, and how I think we like worked harder at Comedy Central than we needed to. Remember when they were like, "Oh, you can fulfill one of your episode commitments if you just take," we did like the roast battle podcast, and then like if we just take the unedited audio and put that up, that'll count as an episode. And I was like, no. But I was like, why didn't we just do that? We would have gotten paid a lot of money for nothing. And I was like, no, we don't want to do it. But we love All Things Comedy. We're happy we're home. I would guess, let's say we're at 200. Let's say by the time I'm done with my tour, we'll be at 250, maybe maybe higher than that, and then I'm gonna want to keep it going to promote the special and everything, and then I'm gonna have time to just be chilling and working on the next project. Why wouldn't I keep doing this? And I would guarantee 300. I'd guarantee we get 2 more years out of this. And If I had to go, if I would have to say the over under for what we would do on this podcast, I would say 500 would be a good over under. That's 6 years, but who knows what happens with you? Who knows what you end up having to do if you can't do this for some reason? If I find a better partner to podcast with.
Another theme that you've mentioned many times.
Then
trying to get me fired. Seeing if you can upgrade.
Do you want to ask me what my quote was from today?
What was your quote from?
I Googled quotes number 200 or 200 quotes, and all the results were this was 200 motivational, inspirational quotes that will inspire your success. That one's from Kathy Collins. You know, that's why they call it the present. And
you get on me for phoning things in?
Yeah, because when I phone things in, it's funny. I'll tell you what I haven't phoned in. Guess what today is?
April 18th.
Aaron, guess what today is?
April 18th. I don't know.
I'll give you guys a hint. It's an anniversary.
Yours and Liz's?
No.
Rummy?
Nope.
No.
Your parents?
Nope.
Tax day.
It's the anniversary of tax day.
No, it really is tax day.
I know it is. I am 1 year sober. I am 1 year exactly, no alcohol. Everyone doubted it. I remember I mentioned it the first couple episodes. I was not drinking, talked about it. And then 1 week I didn't, and everyone just assumed that I'd fallen off the wagon. Rightfully so. You should have assumed that. But
I didn't assume it, but I remember during that episode that it crossed my mind. I was like, oh, now that you didn't bring it up this week, does that? Mm-hmm. I didn't want to bring it up, but then I asked after.
Yeah, you should not have brought it up. And then one night I remember I was drinking like a non-alcoholic cocktail that I had made, and you were like, I just assumed that was actual booze. But no, 1 year sober.
Dang.
I leave after this podcast. I drive home, and then Liz and I go into Palm Springs for a couple of days. Partly to I've got 2 weeks off right now. I just went 2 weeks ago. I was in Madison, Wisconsin, one of my favorite clubs. Had an amazing weekend there, and then did Rochester, New York, comedy at the Carlson, place I'd never been to, but was a great comedy club. I really enjoyed my time in there. Went to New York a day early to do a birthday party, which was, the birthday boy was great. Some of his friends are cool, but it was just it's a big birthday party of rich people watching comedy, and the jokes were hit or miss. But I was like, okay.
you were the entertainment.
Yeah, I was the headliner. And there were other comics there.
Were they paying attention well to your set?
They were very polite, but it's like a birthday party, and people just want to be at a birthday party. So if I talked about them, they were investment banker people. If I was mentioned something about money, they were very on board. But some jokes, they were just I don't know what you're talking about. But the guy whose birthday it was great. He was front row, very attentive, thanked me at the end, and then I got the hell out of there. But I'm glad to have 2 weeks off. Traveling home Sunday from Rochester to LA was the worst travel experience I've had since 9/11. Long-time listeners to the podcast, if you RJVP I'm sure I have told the story of being in New Orleans on 9/11, 2001. I was supposed to fly back to LA to try to find a job. I just moved to LA and couldn't get out, obviously. Everything was canceled. And then I got the first flight from New Orleans to LA. It was going through St. Louis. And it was 2 days later, in the air, they recancel all the flights. I landed in St. Louis, and I spent 24 hours with no money and just by myself in the St. Louis airport and lost my goddamn mind. It was brutal.
That's pretty bad. Not the worst 9/11 travel experience, but pretty bad.
No, but it's 2, number 2, maybe 1A. It's. I mean, honestly, if you would give me the option of do you want to explode or keep sitting in this airport, I probably would have been it would have been great to die over Pennsylvania somewhere.
Well, there's also the Pentagon and stuff, so I think you'd have to be knocked down to 3 or 4.
I mean, I would put everyone who died that day into 1, and then me 1A. That was tough. But so I fly. I do my last show in Rochester. I get out of there at 11:30. I get back to my hotel. I immediately just lay down, close my eyes. You're gonna go to sleep for a couple hours. I wake up at 3:30. I'm tired, but I'm a little energized. I did get a nap. Get to the airport. 6 a.m. flight from Rochester to Philadelphia. I'm everything's going great. I've got an hour layover, Philly to LA. I'm back home by 11:30 a.m. And we're like getting there. We're like, all right, we're about to land. Everyone put your seats up, whatever the fuck. And then they're like, oh, actually, you know what? The visibility in Philadelphia is too low. We can't land right now. And everyone's like, okay, we'll like take. He's like, it'll be a couple minutes. And we're like, all right. And he goes, so we're gonna have to go and refuel in Baltimore. And everyone's like, wait, what? We have to refuel in Baltimore? You can't hang for 5 minutes? And he's like, no, not that we're talking to him. So we land in Baltimore and we sit on the tarmac for an hour and a half. Everyone misses their connecting flight, everyone. And I'm the only guy on the plane who's not going to Bermuda. It was this, everyone's going to Bermuda for their vacation and they're all fucked. They're all like, well, we're not going today. We can maybe get out tomorrow. And so everyone's kind of like mad, but holding it together. So I'm like, I can't get too mad about my thing. And I look and there's like, every 2 hours there's a flight from Philly to LA on American. I'm like, I'm gonna be fine. I get off the plane. I just go straight to the gate for the next flight to LA. And I'm like, hey, I was on the last one. Am I on this one? And they're just like, what? We're oversold. Like it's chaos in the terminal. They're like, we don't have this. We don't know who you are. What flight got delayed? We don't know. So I'm like, okay. I go to the checkout thing, and I'm like, am I on the next flight? What's going on?
You're by yourself, or is Liz there?
By myself. Liz was at home. My opener is still in Rochester. And they're like, oh no, like if you want to get in the next flight, we can get you on a flight at 3:00. And it's like 10:30 at this point. Like we can get you on a flight at 3:00. And I'm like, I'm gonna wait here 4 hours. And like middle seat in the very last row. And I'm like, oh no, I was first class here. Like what's up? And they're like, we don't have any first class all day. There's nothing. And I'm like, she's like, we can get you out here in middle seats at the back of the plane, unless you want to wait here until 8:45 at night. And then we have an exit row aisle seat for you. And I'm like, fuck, I guess that's what I'm doing. Like I just, there's no way I'm sitting in a middle seat for a 5-hour flight, 6-hour flight.
It's a good test of your common man abilities here.
Yeah, I'm no longer a common man. So I just sat there in the airport.
Just to get the exit row, because you're still not getting first class.
It was either, do you want to sit in a middle seat in the back of the plane, or do you want an exit row? Like aisle, the first non-middle seat was exit row aisle.
How many hours later for the exit row?
12 hours. 12 hours for a 6-hour flight. And so I was like,
I'm taking that middle seat.
I was like, I'm just going to do it, and I'll wait it out. And almost lost my mind. I was reading, and then I would get up every hour. I would read for an hour, get up and walk for an hour. And I walked miles in this airport that day. And then finally, it's like I'm just dreading having to be in this exit row. I get on the plane, and I'm sitting there. Like in first class, they don't like treat you like a VIP. They just treat you like a normal human being, like the way human beings should be treated. And coach, you're a fucking cattle. And I'm just sitting with my elbows, and it's me and 3 dudes in the seat. I'm just like dreading this. My Kindle dies. The battery runs out on my Kindle because I've been reading too much. And so I'm just like, I'm just going to fucking raw dog this whole flight. I'm miserable. And I got my hood up being like, I don't want anyone to recognize me.
What does that even mean in this context?
Raw dog?
I mean, I know what that means.
It means I've got no headphones to listen to music. Yeah. I've got no book. I've got no magazine. There's no TV. I'm just like going to be staring straight ahead.
That's why you bring a physical book as a backup.
Sure. And I've got my hood up because I'm like, I don't want to get recognized in coach. I know I sound like a total asshole saying this, but so be it. And the plane's about to, like, we've got like 5 more people getting on the plane. And the flight attendant walks up and is like, I know you. What do I know you from? Something funny, right? And I'm just like, motherfucker. I'm like, I can't believe this is happening to me. And as he's talking to me, he's laughing, and I'm playing along. I'm trying not to be a dick. And this girl walks up and she's like, that's my seat, and points at me. I'm like, and I hold up my ticket. We've got the same seat on the ticket. And I'm like, am I going to lose the aisle seat that I've been waiting 12 hours for? Did something else fuck up? And I'm going to be in a middle seat back there. And the flight attendant's like, huh? Like, oh, let me see here. And like looks at me and goes, you got moved up. And I'm like, what?
Ooh.
I was in first class.
Oh.
They found someone didn't show up, and no one told me, and I found out, and I was like, thank God. Moved up. It was bad first class. It wasn't like a lay down seat. It was just like you're sitting there, again, no screen. I'm still raw dogging it, but I raw dogged it.
I mean, that's not what raw dog means.
On a flight, it does. If you raw dog a flight,
you're
a flight.
A flight, yeah.
Aaron, what does it mean if you raw dog a flight?
Means you got nothing, just your thoughts.
Thank you, Aaron.
With no protection.
Exactly.
Well, it's a happy ending though. You waited and you got the preferential treatment you deserved.
So
paid for.
So when I land in LAX at 12:30 at night, I get in, I come down, and I'm like, I feel pretty good. I haven't slept in 24 hours. I woke up 24 hours ago to do all this, and come downstairs, and I'm like, you know what? Everything worked out. Everything's cool. I get downstairs, my car's not there. There's no guy with a sign with my car, and that's when I lose it. That's when the 24 hours catches up to me, and I want to kill someone. I call the car company. I'm like, my driver's not here. And they're like, oh, here's the text. Here's the number to text him. And I'm like, I'm holding a phone. I can't. What do you want me to do? I can't do any of these things you're asking me to do. I'm trying to find a pen from someone, and I'm like, I'm about to kill someone. And then my driver, they moved my terminal, so the driver walked up and found me, and I was able to get home and finally sleep. And I was like, thank God I am going to Palm Springs, getting massages. I need this 2-week break to be restful before I do 4 more comedy clubs, and then have the summer to do a couple casinos, a couple theaters here and there, and then the tour really starts in the fall, in September. I've added a bunch of shows.
Hey, how's it going? Since we've last taped, and I know we didn't have a week off. Our listeners hearing us, but we had a week off for vacation. Since then, you've put those tickets for sale. I see new shows available.
Tickets have been on sale. It's going to be a great tour. Burke is thrilled. Everyone's psyched. We've added a bunch of second shows. Boston, I've added 3 more shows to Boston. I'm now there multiple nights. I hope we keep adding more. I love Boston. But a lot of second shows, which is fantastic. And I think everything's going to sell out. Even the ones we didn't add a second show are still going to sell it ultimately, that it's going to be a very successful tour. And again, this is part 1. This is chapter 1 of the Bones and All tour. I will be doing more in the spring. So I'm not coming to your city now. Hopefully I'm coming to your city in the spring, and I'm very, very excited to do it. The act is strong, getting stronger. I'm going to write these next couple weeks that I'm very excited to see what my act is like when I head out in the fall. So yeah, check out AnthonyJeselnik.com for tour dates and tickets. New shows being added all the time. We've got some going on sale this week. I'm proud of Chicago. I've always done the Vic Theater, which I love. I taped a special at the Vic Theater, and always added a second show. And I've always wanted to do the Chicago Theater. Always wanted to. It was like, no, it's probably better to do the Vic. And finally this year I got the Chicago Theater, and then got to add a show at the Chicago Theater, which is 3,500 seats. So that is...
Boston, you added 3 shows though, Boston.
But it's a smaller theater though. Smaller. I bet it's about the same size, but I'm excited about Chicago, especially. But Chicago, Detroit, Vancouver, we added second shows all over the place. Seattle had to move to a bigger theater because the ticket demand was so good. But I'm very excited about this tour. Other than that, I did the Harland Highway podcast. My friend Harland Williams is one of the most singularly weird people that I know, but it's always fun. It's always a pleasure to talk to him. He's always weird, and he was like, I have a podcast, come do it with me. I had no idea what I was getting into. And it was very weird, and people seem to love it. So if you like JRVP, go check out Harland Highway podcast. This is a week ago that my episode came out, but it was a lot of fun to do, and people enjoy it. People have said that I should do a podcast with Harland instead of this one. So who knows? Maybe I'll get 200 with Harland. Maybe I wouldn't be able to tolerate it, but I like being in charge. I like being the big boy, wearing big boy pants.
You did slap me down quite a bit in that first episode. I feel like even more back then than you do now. Maybe you've gotten softer.
Early on and I didn't know what the podcast was supposed to be, so I was flailing is the wrong word, but I was just trying things and looking for anything to talk about each week because we didn't really know what it was. That I kind of I think it was kind of dramatic. I was just looking for comedy and looking for things to get mad about in those first episodes, and then as we started to find our way, it became more fun. Now it's just show up and kick it with my friend.
I mean, I thought it was funny.
Aaron, is it hot in here?
Maybe.
Maybe it's the leather jacket I wore. I don't know if it was...
Why would your leather jacket be making me hot?
I mean...
That would be good erotic fan fiction.
That's it. I did read all the erotic fan fiction entries. We're going to be announcing the winners at the end of the show. You got to make it to the end of the show.
We're going to read the top. Gregg's going to read the top 5. We're going to read the top 5 from order from 5 all the way to 1. So listen to these. We've got your names. We've got your emails. and then we will announce the winner, and we will send you your robe, or you might have an option for a mystery box instead of a robe.
But yeah, I think I was inspired. I decided to, I got back from vacation and just decided to really put my nose to the grindstone here. Prove you wrong about my effort level on this show and read all 96,000 words that people sent to us, which is outrageous. 96 pages worth, or no, more than that. I don't even know what it was. Was it 96,000 words? I think that was about it.
There was a lot. It was a lot. I kept meaning to do it. I read a couple of them, and then I was like, here, you read these two, thinking you might read half, and I read half, and then you were like, I read them all. And I was like, oh, thank God.
No, it was 96 pages, 35,000 words. Although some people completely, not that many, but a handful of you idiots out there, sent in 700 words. And I could tell by just like eyeballing it, this is way too long, and then I would check, and I did not read those.
I wouldn't say they're idiots. I'd say they tried to game the system and they got caught. It's only cheating if you get caught. I don't know. Did you eliminate them for that reason? Or
yes.
Yeah. Good.
I had a bunch of things. I would generally, and I don't want to give away too much, generally eliminated like rhyming stuff just because I didn't like it. But there's a huge exception. There's a huge exception on our top 5 list. So if you were good, then you could pull it off. But there was some stupid rhyming
When you say
stuff.
Eliminated, you don't mean like you saw they were rhyming and just didn't read it. You like read it and were like,
I read everything. Yeah, I read it all. But I don't know how many entries that would have been. I guessed it was like in the 150 to 175 range. I narrowed it down to about 23, I think, for you to look through.
Yeah, you get like 23, 25. I narrowed it down to 10. Then you went back down to 5, and then, I did 5, and then you put them in order.
This was like the Booker Prize, how seriously we took this. But I really did. I wanted to feel special for this 200th episode, and I thought, and maybe I was inspired by like all the literature of just like me and you fucking that I went through, because a lot of them started like the show wraps and then
we start fucking. Yeah.
I'm sorry for anyone, my mom or Emeka that's listening. My goal here is to get Emeka to listen all the way to the end. I was like, are you still listening to JRVP? And she's like, I haven't. I was like, she's like, I listened to them all, but I haven't made it through one in like, a long, long time. So she just listens to kind of the top of the show, short on her walks, and then she's just sort of
And what
stops.
sets her off? Is it just like, okay, I'm done with my walk, I'm going to turn this off? Or is something happen every week that she's like, oh, Gregg's talking too much, I'm done?
I don't know. I mean, she listens to this Huberman podcast. Have you ever heard of that? Which is like 2.5 hours long on, how to sleep well. So I don't think it's just the length. I think she just likes the top of the show, basically. And that's her favorite part. And then once she gets back. But this one, I want her to get to the end. But I don't know what I was expecting with this erotic fan fiction. But it was a lot.
When
it
you texted me and said, I think it's weird that there's so much about us fucking, I was like, what did you think it was going to be? What did you think erotic fan fiction was going to be?
I don't know, although if you see in our top 5, I ended up kind of leaning more towards some creative ones that were a little left of just like me and you just fucking.
Yeah.
You needed a hook.
It wasn't like which one did we fuck the best in. It was like which one is like the most creative, funny.
But there was a lot of those. I mean, there was a lot of ones that just like went right into it, kind of hit every little part. Aaron was in a lot of bones and all jokes. A lot of dirtiest part of the human body jokes. A lot of exactly 8 ounces of water in your Athletic Greens jokes, which I enjoyed.
10 ounces.
10 ounces. A lot of cowboy boots. A lot of tar. We must have just done the tar joke. A lot of ones where the big surprise is Aaron's hiding in the corner. Because Aaron had to be included. And that was like how almost everyone used Aaron. So I enjoyed it.
I like what we got. So I hope you guys enjoy listening to him, and I hope whoever wins the robe either enjoys the robe or the mystery box. And now it's time for our 200th. Did we get any notes?
Did we get any notes? Notes. Did we get any notes? Notes. Did we get any notes?
No, not in your life. No notes ever, and definitely not on our 200th episode, except for a couple. Except for a few. Let me start. I got a couple gifts this week. I should have gotten 3. Aaron says that one package said was there, and they said like the boss delivered it. I don't know. I don't know what happened to the third one. I hope it's nothing good, or that it's something good and I eventually get it. One thing I got This was from Edwin Becker. This is a book, a used book. I'm thrilled to get a used book, it doesn't have to be new. Liminal States by Zach Parsons. I have not heard of this book, but I will put it in the pile and hopefully read it. But I appreciate Edwin Becker getting me a gift. And then I got another
that's
gift.
a precedent that you're setting there. If someone just sends you a book, you're going to read it, the name of it.
I didn't say sure, but I'm not going to definitely read the book. I will try. This I got from a guy named Dylan. I want to say Fenig maybe. Let's say Dylan Fenig. This is he said, thank you for the best and only podcast I listen to. Anthony, I hope you like this Sidney Crosby autographed helmet. Can't wait to buy my tickets to Detroit. And then Gregg, you're great too. Sorry I didn't get you anything. And this is a mini helmet signed by Sidney Crosby. This is my first Sidney Crosby autograph. I'm very, very excited to have this. Thank you. I will put this up in my home, in my pile of books from JRVP. So thank you for those two things. And I got a note in the emails that I was like, oh, okay. Like normally if someone sending a note, like an email to Miss Kim to read, that's about me on stage, you better be right. You better be dead right, or not only am I not going to read it on the air, but I'm going to
She sends those along to you?
She sends me every email now that came in that week, and I read through.
There's so many though.
Yeah. Well, listen, I take this podcast so fucking seriously. But this Elizabeth said, Anthony, I remember you talking on your podcast about how your collar was popped out on one side in your Caligula special. This is true. You said you were so mad that no one told you. I recently went to 2 of your shows at a comedy club. In both shows, you said the word longevity instead of longevity. And this is fact. I've always been saying longevity. And I've been saying it for, a year now. She said, I just wanted to let you know so you don't say it during your taped special and get upset no one told you that isn't a word. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. I mean, it was like, Liz, I've been saying longevity and not longevity. And now I will change that moving forward. Elizabeth said, I loved your shows I went to. Hope to come to a theater show next year. Thank you, Elizabeth. I will take that note and I will give you credit for saving me from longevity. It's longevity. Longevity is not a word. Aaron.
I've never, I can't believe you were saying that.
No.
It makes you sound like a dumbass.
I know.
Like Trump or something.
That's why ticket sales have been so great.
I have some notes from my godchildren. You want to do this at this part of the show? Mm-hmm. All right, because they're like...
So there is no erotic fan fiction from the children?
No. I tried to thread that needle. I didn't explain the erotic fan fiction part, but I explained writing a story of...
Sorry I didn't interrupt, but I love the idea of you being like, Ellis, erotic fan fiction is when people see characters in the real world and they make it so that they have sex and they imagine it and then write it down. That would have been great.
She reads a lot of manga and it's starting to get a little racier, so I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, she didn't want to... I was like, you would write a story, it would include this, and this, it'd be 250 words or less. They both were like... She said, I don't want to do that, but I want to just write a letter. Can I write a letter to Anthony for episode 200? And then Walker wanted to too as after Elsa. I said that works. Which would you like me to read first?
Give me Walker first.
Okay. So this is Walker's.
Let me see.
He had some drawings on there too. Not too much. Hi, Anthony. I feel like it could be your 8,000th episode, but it is only your 200th. That is sus. This party is sick. JRVP. I like your song on Spotify. So I think I should have read that in terms of the song. JRVP. That is on his Spotify playlist, so I hear it more than you would think. I like your song on Spotify. It is good. What does vanity mean? I have no idea. I like Rummy's Instagram account. It is funny. Do you like corn or Pete's Coffee? Which one is better? Love, Walker. P.S. Can you get me a new iPad? Mine is busted. It logs me out of my games. PPS, pick corn.
I would get Walker an iPad. And listen, Walker, I love Phil's coffee. There's one...
Pete's Coffee.
Pete's Coffee. I'm okay with Pete's Coffee. Phil's I'm a little more into. Pete's is good in a pinch. I love corn. Love corn. I mean, listen, Limp Bizkit had its time, but corn is forever. So Walker, I will take you to a Korn concert next time they come to town.
He was referring. They've really fallen in love with this song called "It's Corn." I'm not going to explain it to you, but parents will.
I'll wait till you recommend it during recommendation station.
I was very surprised. I did not know he was using this letter as a way to try to get a gift out of you, but it did make me laugh out loud when I first read it.
Yeah, they all think that I'm just there to get them presents, and they're right. I would probably. When's his birthday coming up?
It's you missed it. It was 3 months ago.
Okay, so 9 months. He'll get an iPad maybe for if I get a free one, which I tend to. I will give it to him, and if something else comes up, I will hook him up. Maybe if he wins his World Series, his Little League championship.
Wow, he did win that pool though.
I can't believe he used the word sus in a letter.
They use the word sus all the time.
That's sus.
Dear Anthony, this is from Ellis. Much nicer handwriting. Hello, it's been a long time since I last saw you. In fact, I don't ever remember the last time I saw you. A bajillion years ago, probably. Anyway, congrats on your 200th episode. That's a lot of episodes. I feel like it should be more than that, though, because you have been stealing my dad every Tuesday since the dawn of time. That's sus. Mommy said JRVP is inappropriate for kids, so we can't listen to it. We listen to podcasts, and it's Korn instead. Do you like Korn? Well, they both hit this. I do, but Walker doesn't. He only likes the song. It's such a good song. You should listen to it. Daddy knows the words, so he can sing it for you. How is Rummy? Nori is good. I heard about your writing contest. I was thinking about entering, but I realized I do not want a bathrobe. In my opinion, that is a very weird prize. I mean, who wants a prize bathrobe, especially a used bathrobe, especially Daddy's used bathrobe? Anyway, that's all. See ya. Ellis Rosenthal. P.S. It has the juice. P.P.S. Thanks for my iPad. It works very well. She made some pictures of Rummy and Nori there.
I haven't seen them in a long time.
I like that she was giving you grief.
I know. I gotta hang. I gotta come. And maybe if she wasn't mean to me every time I see her, maybe if I get that hug I'm always wanting, then I would hang out more.
I didn't know this was the gift portion of the program here, because I don't know if you remembered, you threw out there that we should get gifts for each other.
Mm-hmm. Did you get me something?
I did.
What'd you get me?
You want it now?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Why are you laughing?
Because I didn't get you anything.
I know. I'm so happy about this, actually.
I was going to. I thought would be funny last week was that I would say we should get each other something, and then me not follow through. And you would either feel bad or you would go and get me something that would be very funny.
You did. And, well, you mentioned it. You were dead serious about it. We were leaving the show last week. We were on our way out. Again, this is how a lot of the fan fiction starts at this point. The leather jacket comes off. And you were like, if this was a typical you're going to forget, essentially. And at some point, you actually asked me if I wore watches.
Yes.
Which threw me off guard. And I was like, no. And I didn't even realize you were asking about, possibly for a gift until later.
You said right after I asked you, were like, oh, you're going to get me a watch. You said it almost immediately after I said that. And I did think about it, but I was like, a watch is a gift that, I didn't want to get you one that you weren't going to wear and didn't like.
No, Emeka thought that was a bad one because I'd lose it or fuck it up somehow. It's still in bubble wrap, so this doesn't totally, maybe work for a podcast, but I didn't want to mess it up.
Is this the first edition?
This is a first edition and signed on the inside.
No.
Yeah?
No way. I'm going to leave it in the bubble wrap just for safety till I get it home. This is a first edition signed copy of Jesus' Son by Dennis Johnson, a incredible novel, one of both mine and Gregg's favorites.
It's the UK edition.
Great. UK edition is cool. I have a copy of the Bret Easton Ellis' American Psycho first edition, but it's the English edition because they didn't have a hardcover version in America. So I am very excited. I'm down. When did you order this?
See, I did this well. I ordered it on vacation in Hawaii.
I figured you would either get me something from vacation, but I'm glad it got here in time. This is a great gift. I thought about getting you a pair of sunglasses from my collection or a watch, and then I was like, it's too, if you weren't into it, a book is great, put it on the shelf. It's cool. Reread it again. Maybe Liz will read it. But sunglasses, watch, it's too much. And you owe me. You haven't even come close to paying your debt. Aaron, what did you get me?
What?
I told you.
You told me?
Yeah, I told you 200th episode presents.
I don't recall.
He's going to give
directed at me.
Yeah, it during recommendation station.
Okay. Now, Aaron, in lieu of a gift, thank you, Gregg. That's a great gift.
You're welcome.
You didn't blow.
I felt the pressure when I left the studio. It was on my mind.
That was my prank. Was that you would feel pressure and be like, oh, I need to get him something, and then not get you anything.
It was fun though. It was fun looking for this actually.
Did you just went Jesus' Son first edition?
No, I looked at a lot of possibilities. First, I immediately thought, after looking, I was looking around Hawaii and was like, what the fuck am I going to buy in Hawaii? And then it hit me, it'd be cool. What would I like? What would he like? Like a cool first edition or a signed book or something. So I looked at a bunch of different possibilities. Yeah,
I once got you Breakfast of Champions by Kurt Vonnegut, but it wasn't signed. It was a first edition, but not signed.
But that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that was before he died, so now it's worth a lot more money.
My first idea was Stoner. I don't know why, because it was one of the first ones you had recommended on JRVP. I went back and checked, actually.
Mm-hmm.
The first book you recommended was Cherry by...
Nico Waller?
Yeah, but that was released 5 years ago, so it didn't seem exciting enough. But Stoner is running about, $5,000.
I'm sure. Yeah, Stoner's
not going to happen.
But no, I appreciate it. It's not about the money. It's about the thought, and I appreciate that you put thought into it, didn't fuck it up. It's clear that you did this and not Emeka. So I'm very happy. Thank you for all my gifts this episode. I assume every week now I'm going to come in and open things and then thank the people who gave them to me and then not really follow through on my own gift. Now a gift for everyone. A gift for you, Gregg. A gift for our listeners. It's time for Aaron's 15-minute review, where Aaron watches the first 15 minutes of a movie that I tell him to watch, and he has to tell us what he thinks about it, like he did with Tar, and have a strong opinion, come in hot.
Mm-hmm.
So, Aaron, what did you watch this week?
I watched the first 15 minutes of Babylon.
And did you have a timer set, or you just watched it for a little bit and were like, all right, that's 15, I'm good?
I'll be honest, I kept checking because I did not want to watch it anymore.
Dang.
Mm-hmm.
I was like at 8 minutes, I'm only halfway there.
Doesn't start well.
No, it doesn't. The one fun thing is that the comedian J.C. Karias is in the first scene. He's the big guy with the truck and the elephant.
Mm-hmm. I didn't recognize him. I don't know him.
Yeah. He had a podcast here at ATC. But yeah, it sucks. How did this movie? What? How is it not NC-17 for one? It immediately starts with an elephant shitting on a man, and then there's a woman peeing on a fat man at a party.
Uh-huh.
That's a lot in 2 minutes, and you have no main character that you got to set me up a little more.
No.
Before you show me.
No, because that's what you did with Tar. Don't tell me you watched Tar.
No, not you. I'm talking to the filmmaker.
Okay.
Not you.
Okay.
Damien Chazelle.
He should have thought about someone watching 15 minutes of it and turning it off immediately and thought of them to hook them.
Well, he should think of people. People will have to want to watch this movie and not. If I didn't know who was in it, I would never have watched this movie, and I would have turned it off faster. Not knowing that Brad Pitt's coming, he does get in the first 15 minutes, or what's her name?
Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie, yeah.
Margot Robbie's great in it. Brad Pitt's good. Margot Robbie's great. There are scenes that are like, okay, I see why you took this role, but I kind of enjoyed it. It's a movie to throw on a night in, but you hated it. Did you hate it more or less than the first 15 minutes of Tar?
I still hated it less than the first 15 minutes
What?
of Tar. I would still watch the rest of this movie. It has an
elephant shitting on me. Spoiler alert, by the way. Now
it's in the first 3 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, it
it's
happens
fine.
right away.
Yeah.
And it's not.
It's not.
I think you're supposed to laugh at that, but
it's not funny. Yeah, it's not funny at all. Neither is the peeing. It's like what? None of this is funny. I don't get.
I don't think it was supposed to be funny, like haha funny. Just
it's listed as a comedy drama on IMDb. So
no, then it must be true.
Yeah, it's.
So you're putting this how many stars would you have given the first 15 minutes of Tar?
1 star.
And how many stars would you give the first 15 minutes of Babylon?
2.
2. Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
It was more colorful. It was louder. It's a bigger thing. Like it's a.
And there's no part of you that wanted to keep watching, just watch the rest of the party.
Nah, not really.
Okay.
Dang. It was an option on my flight to Hawaii, but I couldn't pull the trigger. I was like, do I really want to stop cranking through these Love is Blind episodes? No, I do not. Love is Blind is amazing.
So you Love is Blinded all the way to Hawaii?
Pretty much, yeah.
What did
What did
Emma
I
watch?
wouldn't stop talking about it once I was there, and no one gave a shit. Trying to explain to your kids and your parents how incredible Love is Blind is. I never watched the show before.
Yeah,
It's amazing. I think you would love it.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know much about it.
It's much better than what you described The Bachelor as. I think I learned a lot.
I don't think The Bachelor was
entertained.
good. I don't think The Bachelor was good at all. But there's something about Love Is Blind that annoys me more. Maybe it's a streaming thing.
I think I just like the idea. I would want to be on the show. I think that'd be good.
Aaron, do you have a request for your next movie next week? This isn't forever. This is until I get over you daring to trash tar to me during my podcast after watching 15 minutes. If you would watch the whole thing and been like, I didn't like it, I would have listened to you and respected it. But watching the first 15 is so bold that I will make you roll that boulder up that mountain until I feel satisfied, and I'm not satisfied yet.
That's fine.
Do you have a request for next week?
I don't.
Okay, I'm going to find one for you.
Okay.
I will text you Sunday at the latest.
Sure.
And that was, did we get any notes?
Did we get any notes? Notes. Did we get any notes? Notes. Did we get any notes?
Speaking of watching things, I watched Succession and Yellow Jackets last night. Succession, great. It's the more it goes in the season, the more into it I am. I'm loving what's going on right now. Thought this was the funniest episode of the season so far.
Yes.
Just some of the lines were great. Even though I keep saying, ludicrously capacious. That ludicrously capacious bag from the first episode of the season. But I thought that was great. Yellow Jackets, I'm fucking sick of it. And listen.
You loved it last season.
Last season, loved it, but I got to binge it, so like any of the weak spots, whatever. Christina Ricci and Juliette Lewis are incredible, and Melanie, what's her name? Linsky is great. Yeah. The other one, I don't really care about. I am so sick of like, okay, a plane of girls crashed, a soccer team of girls crashed. How do they survive? What happens? Then we see them in the adults, the trauma. I'm like, okay, what's up with the sleepwalking? Why is so much dedicated to someone who's sleepwalking? I don't care. No one gives a fuck. Stop it. And they're like, oh, 5 more seasons. Get the fuck out of my face. I'm going to keep watching it. I'm going to watch it every Sunday with Succession. But I'm mad about it.
I'm loving Succession. I'm liking being part of the zeitgeist right now. Usually that's not my thing, but I'm watching 3 shows. Succession. Well, Love Is Blind is over now, so I'm down to 2 and Top Chef.
Did you watch the live stream?
I tried. I tried like hell.
Yeah, so did my
Just
wife.
kept checking.
It was that big a deal? I just saw on Twitter people were mad that it like didn't work. The live thing didn't work, but I couldn't believe it that you would give a fuck about I don't really even know how Love Is Blind works, but I'm not into it.
Yeah, it was a reunion, which to me was a little overheated. I mean. To me, it was a little bit of an anticlimax, but I was surprised that Zach came so strong in the reunion. Really improved throughout the season. Mm-hmm. Team Zach.
And now it's time for a little place we like to call Email Corner.
Email corner. Email. Emails are a thing. Emails. Email corner. Emails. It's email corner.
Guys, emails are a thing. It was apparent in our first episode. To episode 200, nothing has changed. Emails, they are a thing. We like to let everyone send us emails at jrvpjuniorvicepresident@gmail.com. Miss Kim reads them. Miss Kim sends them on to me. I read them, and then I pick 3 that I want to talk about.
Things do change, though. I don't know when Email Corner started. Some JRVP historian out there could let us know. But I can tell you that the first episode of JRVP included a option whether football games were going to be crunk or super awesome to the max to close it out.
Really, that was episode 1. I remember RJVP doing,
Right.
Was it crunk or funky fresh? But
the sequel.
I think we started Email Corner around the time we moved into the All Things Comedy Studio.
Hi, gentlemen, and Miss Kim. This is from Megan. This one's for Anthony. My husband and I just took a trip to Madison from Chicago to see you perform at Comedy on State. It was tremendous. We're hoping to catch you in September at the Chicago Theater. They've seen a lot of the greats, including Swartzen, Burr, Bargatze, and you blew them all out of the water. I was so excited to see you live. I asked my husband if I could catcall you with Married with Children studio audience style as you approach the stage, but I got too shy. Would you want someone to do that?
I wouldn't hear it. People are screaming, and I'm just getting to the stage.
We were able to get 2 front row seats in the corner. We were terrified we were going to be pulled into the show by you pointing at us. We noticed, though, that you didn't look at the audience, which seems so professional. but we were lucky enough to get a glance from you as you were leaving the stage. I'm guessing this is to prevent distractions and stay focused. My question is, when you get distracted or if your jokes don't go as planned, how do you refocus, or what do you say to yourself to stay on track and not completely unravel? By the way, when one of your jokes made you crack a little bit, that was by far the best part of the show for us both, being able to see you so raw like that. And the joke was incredible too. She also calls herself your #1 female fan.
That's a long list. But thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for bringing your husband. Thank you for trying to cheat on your husband emotionally with me. I do not look at the audience. Part of it is there's a weird level of like the people who are in the front rows. They you have to work to get there a little bit, and it's so there's an intensity there that I wouldn't say it's a turn off. I just don't want to look right at them because they're just people are excited, and I don't look at the audience really when I'm telling jokes, because I notice that if I look at you, if you're watching me, you're in the audience, I don't know you, but I look at you as I say the punchline, you don't laugh. Because you feel self-conscious in that moment. So I try to look at people, kind of glance, and it's dark. So I'm not looking at eye contact, but I try to look around as I'm going, give everyone a little something. And then when I say the punchline, I'm looking at nothing, just so everyone gets to laugh at it. And I also don't want to if someone's a big fan and they're I'm such a huge fan, I want to be a part of the show. I get that a lot. So I don't look at the people in the front because I'm not trying to make that about them. It's they want to tell me something a lot of the time that I'm okay, I'll glance at the first row or two that I can see, but I kind of look over them into the middle. I'm playing to everyone, and I don't look at people in the eye when I tell the punchline. But if something gets distracting, it'll get loud. Someone drops a glass. Someone gets in an argument with a waiter or something. I focus on the words and making sure the jokes are perfect for everyone else, because not everyone can hear every interruption. If a glass breaks on one side of the room, the other side might not be able to hear it. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. But yeah, I don't look at people. So if you come to a show to get looked at, good luck.
It's smart. Mm-hmm. It's a good tip. Maybe that's why people weren't laughing at my jokes when I did on stage stuff. I was looking right at them. Mm-hmm. That's it.
That's why.
Scott in Wisconsin says, "Hey, Anthony and Greg, saw you in Madison this past weekend. You slayed. When your set was done and the lights came on, everyone around me was saying how great you and the openers were. I have a question. With Kanye proclaiming that you are his favorite comedian outside of himself, it has me wondering, who is your favorite anti-Semitic entertainer?"
This is a great question. I actually sent this to both Aaron and Greg over the weekend after I read these, and I was we're going to do this one. And there are so many anti-Semitic entertainers, writers, famous people, because back in the day, it wasn't that it was everyone was anti-Semitic. It seems when you read the history books, from back in the early 1900s all the way up until the 1980s, 1990s. Aaron, am I right about that?
Oh yeah. Until at least the mid 90s.
Mm-hmm. Roald Dahl, who I considered for this, was not my choice in the end, but I considered. But yeah, write these great, a famous anti-Semite.
Yeah.
And yet he wrote these great books, kids' books.
Roald Dahl. Who's a Cat in the Hat? Dr. Seuss, anti-Semitic as all get out. From what I've heard, a lot of mostly writers, but I was thinking more of an entertainer, someone that you would. And Aaron, how long? Did you get a top 3? What did you do?
Yeah, I slaved over it, and I was I really love the Lethal Weapon movies, Mel Gibson. He's great.
Mm-hmm. And listen, yeah, I see.
Yeah,
but Mel Gibson's almost too obvious.
Yeah.
Someone who's I think the biggest anti-Semite isn't the guy who's yelling anti-Semitic stuff. It's the guy who's whispering it. Mm-hmm. It's the guy who just threads it through every fiber of his being and then just puts it out into the world, trying to turn the tide, if you will. My pick.
It's crazy we all came up with the same pick.
I know. We talked about this a little bit before. Tom Hanks.
Thanks.
I mean, it's just consistent throughout his work, his personal life.
I would have also accepted Rita, his wife.
Mm-hmm.
What's her last name?
Rita Wilson.
Rita Wilson. I want to say Rita Hanks. I knew that wasn't it, but I knew I was right about her being anti-Semitic. Otherwise, why would they be together? I would have also accepted Chet Hanks.
For sure.
And was it Colin Hanks?
Colin,
yeah. In that order. Tom, Rita, Chet, Colin.
Yeah.
It's disappointing because he's I'm the only Jewish guy, so just speaking for Jewish people, that's what I do. It's tough because he's America's sweetheart. Sleepless in Seattle, League of Their Own, love him.
But is
and yet, am I allowed to enjoy that as much knowing he's such a big anti-Semite.
Is he America's sweetheart despite being an anti-Semite? A raging anti-Semite? Or is he America's sweetheart because of the anti-Semitism? Does he represent, how a lot of people feel?
I try not to think that
Do
deeply
you
about
think a non-anti-Semite could have delivered big? Could he have danced on the piano the same way?
You start looking at his movies like differently. Philadelphia, which did so much for the gay community, like if you kind of read between the lines, not as much for the Jewish community.
It did. Philadelphia, the movie Philadelphia did a ton for the gay community. Everything's been just one big bowl of cherries ever since that movie came out and blessed the gay community with that portrayal. I would think what's weird to me is going back and watching what's the movie he's on an island with the volleyball? Castaway. Watching Castaway, you think of it as like, oh, this horror. It's like, oh, how horrible would that be? But when you look at it again, it's like a fantasy. Get to live without any Jews at all. For Tom Hanks, that like you get to lose the weight you wanted because you don't have Jews keeping you down, making you eat high calorie stuff. But yeah, Tom Hanks for sure. I think. Listen, if you're a listener and you have someone who's not Tom Hanks, I'd love to hear why.
Right. I mean, even when you think about like how he started his career, bosom buddies. Okay, these two friends, neither one's Jewish, who also sometimes like dress up as women.
So they don't have to pay for the apartment. That's what it kind of all comes down to. Give me another Tom Hanks movie. Splash? Yeah. He doesn't want to be with a Jewish woman, so he goes into the ocean and drags up whatever the fuck. It's like anything's better than what I have, which is Jewish.
Saving Private Ryan? He's trying to get home so he can stop killing Nazis because he's okay with what they were doing. It's a difficult way to accomplish that.
What about the movie Bachelor Party, where he's trying to... it's like Bachelor Party.
Forrest Gump.
I think he's almost like he's like a characterization of a Jewish man. That's how he thinks Jewish people are, is like amazing athletes and mentally weak.
All right, our next question is from Diego. Question for Anthony about Aaron. Sorry to Trojan horse. You're recording a pod. Nothing particularly notable. You make a little wisecrack at Aaron, and he just gives you a ha back. Doesn't seem pissed, but you kind of file away the reaction. Later in the pod, Tar comes up, and you hear him say Jesus Christ under his breath. Again, you just kind of note it, but you're getting a don't fuck with Aaron today vibe. Later, you go to take an email, but he plays the notes theme, even though you've already done notes. You start to lay into him before you can even get off a good zinger. He's clocked you straight in the face. No real damage, but he sent a message to you. Do you A, keep the interaction on the pod and finish emails? B, fire him on the spot? C, shake his hand, tell him never again, but now you respect the shit out of him? Or D, brawl until Gregg has to break it up?
Okay, let's go through this. This is a hilarious image, by the way. Yeah. Even just Aaron actually getting mad at me is funny. The idea of Aaron getting up and walking over here.
Yeah, there's quite a distance between us. Yeah. This would be the slowest.
To see you get up and like just to see the look in your face of like I'm gonna punch him and have to walk around the cameras.
Yeah.
To get to me and punch me is very, very funny. Let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, Aaron, 10 being you get out of your seat and go do this, 1 being you're sitting there happy. What have you reached in terms of me getting mad at me during a podcast?
Oh, 3.
A 3?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a little higher than I would have guessed.
Tops.
But okay.
I mean, he did make like a size joke at one point.
Mm-hmm.
That's worth a 3.
Yeah.
Was it? I don't know. I didn't think it was that big a deal.
3's pretty low.
Yeah, I know. But I remember the joke, the size joke being like egregious or unwarranted or anything you haven't heard before today.
I mean, if like a guy not taking a left at like a green when he's just kind of sitting there looking at his phone, if that's like a 7, 3's pretty low.
It was a honk. And honk's pretty low. Honk's like a 5.
Okay.
Just like a, hey, I don't know if you know.
Right.
You can't take a left here. That was what the honk was, and then it escalated. But let's go through my options here. Keep the interaction on the pod and finish emails. Imagine if Aaron punched me in the face on the air during the podcast, and I just shook it off and was like, our next email is from, or like, Gregg, read the next one. Or that's an interesting question. And then had no notes for Aaron after the show to just say, yeah, go ahead and air it, and people will love it. We don't edit things out. Imagine that. That would never happen. We would keep it in the show, though. We'd have to.
Yeah.
It's not so much keeping it in the show, it's finishing emails. It's me like getting back up into my chair and being like, okay. Number 2, fire him on the spot. Aaron's not mine to fire.
Yep.
There is no, like, if I was like, hey, I want to stay at All Things Comedy, but I want a different producer, there is no other producer. It's Aaron. If you want to use the studio, you get Aaron. So I couldn't really fire him. What I could do is walk 5 feet out this door, the studio door, into Bill Burr's office, where he stays from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. every day, and knock on the door and say, hey, Bill, guess what Aaron just did? And then I would explain it to Bill, and he'd be like, geez, he did that? I told him not to.
What'd you say? He'd want to know.
What would I say to Bill?
No, he'd want to know what you said.
Oh. What'd you say to get him to punch? I Aaron to say he's not gonna punch somebody. Is that a good?
Yeah.
Is that a good Bill Burr impression? I couldn't imagine tattling on you. Like sometimes, yeah. Will I leave the podcast if we finish before 5 o'clock and knock on Bill's door and sit down in his office? It's not a big office, but I'll sit down and ask him what he's working on. You know. But I couldn't imagine going in there and being like, guess what Aaron did to me? Option 3, shake his hand and tell him never again, but you now respect the shit out of him. This is the least likely that I would take a punch from my podcast producer, shake his hand, and then be like, I respect you a little more now, Aaron, for punching me in the face during my podcast. That's the least likely of all. Brawl until Gregg has to break it up. 100% is the answer. I don't know listen, I'm not saying I would beat you in a fight, but I'm saying we would fight. And there are cameras all around. I would be hitting you with cameras. There's a trophy over here, a softball trophy that you won and brought in here. Yeah. And I'm not judging you for bringing in your softball trophy into work, but why are you just putting it on the floor? You couldn't find a better place to put it?
I mean, the desk seemed ostentatious.
Yes, that doesn't mean it's wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. It needs to go somewhere. It's like right next to the trash. Just looks like it's like going to go out with the trash.
Aaron, let's say we did fight. Let's say this happens. Uh-huh. Let's say you get possessed by the Holy Spirit and you come and punch me in the face.
Yep.
And I fight back. Like that's the only option here is we start fighting. Who do you think wins that fight?
It's pretty close. I think.
It's not a done deal.
No.
I would think though that you would. Here's my advantage. Is that by punching me first?
Yeah, I might gas.
That you're a little out of gas, and you've put a lot into that punch, and you're just kind of like, I'm losing my job right now. I shouldn't be doing this. And then I'm just like in a world of rage, and I'm doing everything I can to end your life. Like I wouldn't just try to punch you back. I would try to kill you, if not just kill you.
Yeah, then I really got to rely on Gregg to.
Well, right. The problem here is until I have to break it up. I'm not breaking that up. Yeah. Like I physically couldn't. I'm a small man.
You wouldn't even try to break it up. You would just you would take your picture of seaweed and run out of here. You would run into Burr's office and be like, Bill.
I mean, we have been doing this for 200 episodes now. We had a friendship, that went on for almost two decades before the podcast ever started. My loyalty is with Anthony. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not like, I do think I would jump in. I would just gouge out some eyes.
Let me tell you what you should do.
If
Aaron punches me in the face and we start fighting, you have to recognize right now you're about to watch Aaron die. If you're a good friend, you would yank the plugs out of the cameras.
Yes.
Get rid of witnesses and yank the plugs out of the mics so that we couldn't hear me killing him. So it's like, I don't know what happened. I saw red. And then you would run into Bill Burr's office if it was before 5 o'clock. And tell him, Aaron, how many episodes do we have to do before we can call him Billy?
I think at least 350.
350? Okay. Yeah. Whenever someone's like, Billy. I was talking to Billy. I'm just like, shut the fuck up. What are you, his mom? Like so many people. Oh, you're an all things comedy? Yeah, I love Billy. Get the fuck. I can't believe he accepts it. And that was. Did we get any notes?
Nope.
I mean, so that was. You know what you should have said instead of saying nope? You should have gotten up and punched me in the face. And that was Email Corner. Emails around the world unite.
And that was Email Corner. Diamonds around the world unite. Diamonds around the world unite.
And now it's time for
Ad copy.
You know, in the first episode, you said the words ad copy. I mean, so many little nuggets here that I'm just dropping.
I like how all your research for episode 200 was just listening to the first episode.
I just decided to do it
no
just
more.
to see what's happened. What more research do we need? What more do we need in life than athletic greens, by the way?
No, if we're going to have one ad, it's so right that it would be AG1.
AG1.
AG1, calling it AG1 is like calling Bill Burr Billy.
Well, they do like it to. They do like to be called AG1 because it's AG1 by Athletic Greens. AG1 is the drink you're having. Those 10 cold ounces every morning. Sometimes I'm just tired and I put the powder in first, and then I immediately think Anthony wouldn't be happy with me. You got to put the water in first.
No, got to put the water in first. I like cold water. I like good water. I'm not doing the tap, but I understand people do the tap. I'm okay with that. If I'd open it, just use tap water. I'm rocking with the real stuff.
What does that even mean? Like, what about I like do the water from the fridge. Does
Sure.
that count?
Yeah,
Filtered a little bit. I had it for lunch today. Everyone says, oh, you got to have it first thing in the morning. That's what I always do as well. It's what Emeka does. It's what you do. Guess what? Sometimes you forget, and then you're at lunch, and you've got the 200th episode of the Jeselnik and Rosenthal Vanity Project.
JRVP.
Junior Vice President.
Better late than never.
And you know what? What would go great with lunch? AG1 by Athletic Greens.
I'm first thing in the morning.
Me too. That's one of the first times I've ever done that, but it just felt like it would be wrong of all days today to skip it. And I don't skip it. It's a daily habit that makes you healthier, living better without having to do a lot. It's powerful because it's so easy to fit into your lifestyle. Each scoop is filled with 75 different vitamins. You don't have to go buy a bunch of different vitamins or minerals. Athletic Greens takes care of it all for you. If you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/JRVP. That's athleticgreens.com/JRVP. Check it out.
You know, I'll add a little something to this. I was not using my free year supply of vitamin D. I was just like, I just want the drink. I just want the powder. I've got my travel packets I take on the road. I've got my little cookie jar with a screw top lid full of the powder that I do every morning when I'm at home. But I went to the doctor. Doctor was like, your health looks great. Tests are great. Your vitamin D level is low. You got to start taking that vitamin D. I don't know what that means when your vitamin D level is low. Maybe it makes you a cranky bastard. But I'm taking my Athletic Greens vitamin D. So don't be like me, guys. Get in ahead of the game. Once you go to the dentist and they tell you got the cavity, it's too late. Start brushing your teeth now with AG1. And that was
Ad copy.
Let's get to headlines.
Let's get the headlines. Let's get the headlines. Let's get the headlines.
I wonder if I should get you like a present for $250. Like get you something that really blows your mind. What if I'd gotten you a really nice watch that you didn't like? What would you have done? Would you just been like, oh, thanks? Would you have felt awkward?
No, I actually would have thought it was cool. Like my initial instinct when you asked me was I wasn't thinking about it. I was just like, no, I don't wear it. But then I think I would become a watch guy and try to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you were on TV, you should be. It's cool to be wearing one.
I think that's what you were. You were saying it'd be good for TV, and I was like, yeah, it would be.
I thought maybe episode 250 that we would go. Maybe 250, maybe 300, whatever. Whenever things kind of clear up and it's like a thing, and we go, we get the same watches. You know what I mean? Like I'll buy them. I've got tour money. You just have like football podcast money. So we would go and we would like find like a watch that we both have, and we'd start your collection.
We had talked tattoos at one point.
We already have matching tattoos. I would still do the Tulane tattoo.
Oh yeah,
the green wave tattoo. I guess we could get anyone to do that. We could do that here because you're not going to be in New Orleans with me when I kick off the tour there in September. But I would go. I would get you a watch. It's just I didn't want to choose a watch for you and then have you not be into it. You know what I mean?
I doubt I would not be into it. You know, but I hear what you're saying.
Like if you took
what
it home,
taste do I have?
And
what
Emeka was
I
like, "Oh, that I don't like that watch." Then it's like, "Well, fucked." But if we went together and chose it, so maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll get our Tom Segura on and get really into watches. What's our first headline? We only have 2 headlines this week because we want to get to the erotic fan fiction, but they're the headlines that everybody wants to hear about.
Right. We're gonna get to that erotic fan fiction contest very soon. Going to be giving Anthony that vitamin D, if you know what I'm talking about. The Dalai Lama, he knew it was our 200th episode, and he decided to come hard. Last week, he was videotaped kissing a boy and asking him, the boy, to, quote, suck his tongue. Fair or unfair?
I mean, what are we talking about? Are we talking about asking the kid to suck his tongue? And I haven't seen the video. Aaron, how many times have you watched it?
I mean, I slaved over that thing, like the anti-Semitic performer thing.
And so you were like, did you watch 15 minutes of it?
Oh, easily,
like, as you do. I'm surprised that he allowed it to be videotaped because of, like, there's never been a religion before that had any kind of like child sex scandal. So you would think that the Dalai Lama would be above this kind of thing. But when he says it, did you watch the video?
Yeah.
Is he clearly joking, or is he like meets the little kid, gives him a kiss, and is like sticks his tongue out and goes suck my tongue, or is it more like a suck my tongue? Like is he demanding it?
It's more jokey. The kid asked the Dalai Lama, who's 87 years old now, "Can I hug you?" And so the Dalai Lama says, "Oh, that's okay." And he gives him a hug, and then the kid goes to kiss him on the cheek. He gives him a kiss on the cheek, and then he kisses him on the lips, just quickly. But and then he asks the kid to suck his tongue. His PR department was saying it was kind of all joking, but it doesn't seem like you would ask a kid to suck your tongue unless you've done it before.
First of all, it sounds like the kid's the aggressor. It sounds like the kid's coming out and he's just trying to like get away from this kid. He's like, let me just give him what he wants. Let him suck my tongue. Because I would think sucking the Dalai Lama's tongue is going to be like better than sucking most people's tongues.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron, it's episode 200. Would you suck my tongue and then suck Gregg's tongue and then tell us if it's weird?
No.
I'll go to Bill Burr's office right now. It's only 4:24. He's there for another 36 minutes.
Yeah. I think he'd back me up on that one.
You think he would?
Yeah.
He'd say it's weird. You don't have to do it to find out if it's weird.
Yeah.
Or do you think he might say, "Hey, I'm not sure if it's going to be weird. Let's have him do it and see if it's weird."
Also, the way he did it was weird. There's no way not to do it. There's weird. He gave him the kiss on the lips, and then he just stuck out his tongue, and he was like, "Suck my tongue." And they were like forehead to forehead, and the crowd laughed. It was like watching one of those old like shows where they make a really sexist joke, and then the crowd like loves it. Like the crowd was digging the tongue suck proposal here.
I mean, again, I don't want to blame the kid too much, but it's the kid's fault. And has the Dalai Lama's never asked an adult to suck his tongue?
No, I think people would have noticed.
That's what's weird is that if I ask a kid to suck my tongue, that's weird. But if I tell Aaron to suck my tongue, because you would have to do it if I told you to. Like, we're just joking on right now, Aaron, but if I just told you, you have to do this, you'd have to do it. And then had a kid suck my tongue, it's not as weird. Do you know what I mean?
Because it's after me?
Because it's like I do this to other people. It's not just a kid's thing. This is the first time he's doing it.
Yeah.
So it's like he's been waiting for it. It's like all the meditation has led him to this. And maybe that's it. Maybe it's the fact that he doesn't wear pants.
He doesn't?
No, he's like the Yogi Bear of religious leaders in that he never wears pants. He's the Daffy Duck, the Donald Duck.
Donald has a shirt and no pants.
But Daffy doesn't wear pants.
Mickey Mouse.
None of those guys.
None of them are wearing pants.
None of those. Mickey, Dolly.
Mickey's wearing only pants.
Llama, they don't wear pants. It's part of their thing. And I think he just horns you up a little bit. Do I think he wants to have sex with this kid in front of all these people? Of course. Why wouldn't he? He might be the son of God, but he's also human. For now. And then I think when he dies, he ascends and becomes God and fights God. Aaron, which one is it? Does he become God or does he fight God? And then whoever wins...
I think he hugs God?
He hugs God.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think, Gregg?
I mean, I think it's telling he was very apologetic. It's pretty rare that the Dalai Lama releases a statement that says, His Holiness wishes to apologize to the boy and his family, as well as his many friends across the world, for the hurt his words may have caused. His Holiness often teases people he meets in an innocent and playful way, even in public and before cameras. He regrets the incident.
Oh, that's their spokesperson saying it. Did you see what the Dalai Lama wrote?
No.
He said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean tongue. I meant dick."
Last headline.
Imagine if the Pope did that. Imagine if the Pope was like, "Suck my tongue," and then it was just like a bunch of kids in a row, and they all had to suck his tongue. Aaron, would that be the best day of your life?
It's just like your Catholicism coming out. You're like, what abouting the Pope here? It's like, how come Dalai Lama's not getting more grief for this?
Because I mean, of all the sex scandals, the Catholic Church has been the biggest and the best.
Yeah.
Number one forever. And so if the Pope pulled that shit, it would be extra funny. But I don't know. Maybe China is right.
They know.
Maybe China's right and the Beastie Boys were wrong. Did you ever think of that?
Our last headline, we're going to wrap up headlines on episode 200, the only way we could, with Renner.
Mm-hmm.
His show, Renovations, is coming back. People got us all excited. They were like, are you watching this? Renovations coming back? And it's not even back yet.
Isn't it?
I don't think so. That's what I read. Maybe in this country it is back. I don't even know.
And there was a season 1. This is season 2.
Yeah.
And what is the show about again?
It's all about those renovations. So Jeremy Renner's going to make some renovations. Renovations.
Because when I heard about it, it seems like he just walks into restaurants and asks if he can get a seat. And they're like, do you have a reservation? He's like, no. I've got a renovation, and then they're like, "Oh, okay. Can you wait a little bit?" That's what I would assume.
It's really embracing Renner's lifelong passion to give back to communities around the world by reimagining unique, purpose-built vehicles to meet a community's needs.
So it's Pimp My Ride, but with Jeremy Renner,
saving like poor people. Yeah, pretty much. He's back. The show's back. He's doing some interviews. He's reemerged from the snowplow accident. He's doing a ton of press. And he's taking blame for the accident that occurred with him and his cousin in the snowplow. And he said, what are you laughing at?
I'm laughing. I'll talk about it. I mean, nothing that you've said or done.
Yeah, okay. He said his cousin, and him were attempting to tow this truck out of the snow. We kind of knew about this. When the snowplow was there, he admits he forgot to set the parking brake on the plow and said he was trying to save his cousin, realized the plow was going to run him over. And that's, quote, that's when I screamed, by the way, when I went under the thing. Not today, motherfucker, is what I screamed. Sorry for the language. That was to Diane Sawyer, by the way.
Listen, this is why I've been laughing for the past couple minutes. This is so funny to me. We love Jeremy Renner, okay? We've made some jokes about Jeremy Renner. He does a lot of things. We like to poke fun. But he's a great guy. He seems like a great guy.
He was a great guy when he had us backstage. Like, he's always the best.
We get to meet him. He gave us the guitars we have on our backs when we put them on our backs. Otherwise, they're just at home on the wall next to all the things I get from the podcast listeners. But there is nothing funnier. Like, imagine if you're watching this. Imagine if someone forgets to put the parking brake on their snowplow, gets run over by it, and as they're getting run over, they scream, "Not today, motherfucker." Because today, motherfucker, like, it's happening. Yeah. He yelled it as he got run over by his own snowplow. The idea of staring down any imminent accident, any imminent collision, and screaming, "Not today, motherfucker," as it's happening is hilarious. Like, I would laugh at that. Right? I mean, wouldn't you scream laughing? If you're walking down the street, you see someone, a car coming to barrel down on someone, they scream, "Not today, motherfucker," as they get hit. That's hilarious.
It would be hilarious. I mean, I think it would probably be dulled by his skull kind of cracking open, apparently. Like, he broke, tons of bones in his body, but also his lung collapsed, and he was just kind of crushed in the snow. So it would be a real, whiplash there because not today, motherfucker. But then,
yeah, if you yell "not today, motherfucker" and then you dodge it, awesome. But if you know you're about to get hit and then screaming "not today, motherfucker," like who's that for? Who is that for? Because it's happening to you. It's just a funny. It's misplaced, and then to brag about it.
It's amazing. Well, Ori came up with this story after that it would sound cool.
If he in his head if he thought "not today, motherfucker" and went to dive out of the way, cool. But screaming it as you get run over by your own snowplow is very funny. The only thing that would have been funnier is if he yelled "today, motherfucker."
He said a lot in this interview. It's a lot. If you like Jeremy Renner, check it out. It's on like abc.com or something.
I mean, how do you not root for the guy? Whether you like him or not, you got to root for Jeremy Renner. I want to see him acting as a guy with one leg. I think it'd be great.
He says he's hoping to be walking again by the time he's on the red carpet in a few weeks. Right now, he's still not. He had his right ankle broken, legs broken, clavicle, shoulder, face, a lot. But he looked pretty good. The funniest thing he said though in the interview, which I had to rewind and make sure because I did watch it because I prep because it's 200. Mm-hmm. Got the gift. Mm-hmm. I got it. He says. He said, "I have no regrets. I'd do it again." What? What to say?
Why would you do it again? Why would you not have some regrets? If I could go back, I would have done it differently. Like you don't have to sign anything. Just say, "Hey, I wish that hadn't happened. I wish I hadn't gotten."
Here's the regret: just set the parking brake. That's a big one. Because what he was trying to do was his cousin was in trouble, and he was trying to have his foot on the brake and lean out of the snowplow at once, and his foot went off the brake.
Yeah,
that would be my regret. Set the parking brake, then leave the snowplow. That's a big regret.
It's okay to regret it. It's okay to be like, "Hey, everything's fine. I love my cousin, but I wish I hadn't gotten run over by my own snowplow. I regret it.
I'd do it again.
I'd do it again. I love that shit."
It does remind, a lot of people say that about a lot of things, like that. Oh, I have no regrets. That's life. You got to move on. You gotta live. No regrets. But it's after they did something that totally changed their life for the worse and was a clear mistake. Yeah. It's okay to have regrets.
Yeah, it's okay. If you're playing a game, if you're like an athlete and you're playing a game and you're like, "I shouldn't have taken the 3. I missed the 3 there, but I had no regrets. I would have taken it again." You got to keep taking shots. Okay. If you get run over by a snowplow and you're like, "I love it, no regrets," then you're wrong. And that's why Jeremy Renner is our JRVP. Nope.
Not today, motherfucker.
Not today, motherfucker. And now it's time for
Choo-choo!
Recommendation Station. Aaron, episode 200. You made it without punching me in the face. Do you want to give the first recommendation?
Sure.
You had one. No, Aaron doesn't always have. People are like, "Oh, why don't you ask Aaron?" Aaron tells us when he's got a recommendation.
Yeah.
When I come in here, Aaron's like, "Hey guys, guess what today is?" And we're like, "What's today?" He's like, "Aaron Day. I got a recommendation." And we're like, "Okay. Should we talk to Burr and make sure he's cool with it?" And you're like, "Oh, it's past 5:00. He's not in the office today." And then we just do it.
Yeah. The show Jury Duty on Freevee.
I watched a few episodes of this.
Yes, it is so funny.
Did you watch the whole thing?
I have the last 2 to go.
Yeah, I watched. How many episodes is it total?
I think it's 6.
Jury Duty. Do you want to explain it? Or do you want me to?
Yeah, it's like Joe.
Jesus Christ!
Joe
Let me do this.
Schmo
Yeah, it's like Joe Schmo.
Yeah.
Everyone's an actor. Following the script,
You gave
except
him
for one person.
1.5 seconds before you said Jesus Christ.
I know, because I saw what was about to happen. I recognized the train wreck I was about to see, and I said, "Not today, motherfucker."
Yeah.
And stepped in.
Fair.
Everyone's an actor but one. I love, who's the famous actor who's in it?
James Marsden.
James Marsden is hilarious in it. People are funny. I really liked the first episode, and then as they got into more the minutia of the trial, I was like, I don't know if I want to binge this, but I did like that show. What's it on, Aaron?
Freevee.
It's on Freevee. I wonder how I was watching it. I think I was watching it on Amazon. I think if you have Amazon
Prime. Owns Freevee, yeah.
Okay.
It used to be IMDb TV.
This streaming stuff is so fucked. These fucking... I hope the writer's strike lasts for 6 years. Okay, yeah, and it's called Jury Duty, right?
Yeah.
Are they going to do a second season, they say?
I haven't heard, but I hope so.
I'm interested to see how it ends, like how they tell the guy.
Yeah.
Because they make him look good. I get uncomfortable if they're trying to make some poor guy look like an idiot, but he comes off well.
Yeah, he does.
In a way, did you ever watch Joe Schmo, Aaron?
I never did, no.
Joe Schmo, I watched the first season and like it was okay. The second season, the girl, it was like a dating thing, where almost like The Bachelor, and there was a girl and a guy who were the schmoes, and the girl is one of my best friends from high school.
Oh wow!
So watching someone have all these pranks pulled was amazing, and one of the best like TV experiences of my life. So I did enjoy that, and she came off. She was such a good person that she came off really well, and not like an idiot. And this guy comes off like that way too. But I would watch.
Such a risk. Like if you got the wrong guy, or I don't know. I feel like it could go so wrong. I'm intrigued.
I would be terrible on there because I recognize all the actors, like Kirk Fox especially.
That's why they definitely get someone like the Joe Schmo people were all from DC. They picked they found service workers in DC and brought them in. They wouldn't take someone from LA ever.
Marsden, very funny on 30 Rock.
In fact, in Joe Schmo 2, it almost got ruined in the final episode because Natasha Leggero was on Joe Schmo 2, and she got eliminated first week, and my friend came in the second week, so never saw Natasha. Didn't know what character she was playing. And when they brought her out at the end, when they bring everyone out to announce the winner, Natasha was like, "Oh, I know her. She's friends with Anthony," and almost ruined the entire thing.
Wow.
Which is pretty amazing. Yeah. What's your recommendation?
I'm going to recommend a book. I brought it in for some reason. So
it's fun to hold it up.
It is fun to hold it up. I wanted something worthy of episode 200, so I was really excited that I read what has been my favorite book of the year so far. It's called The Promise by Damon Galga. It won the Booker Prize in 2021, so it's not like a sleeper book. It came out about a year and a half ago. Everything about it is so good. It's set in South Africa, kind of over the last 20 years. I'm not giving away anything, but the structure is it's based around these different funerals. The girl on the cover here overhears a promise that her parent gives to a black woman who is their helper, that lives on the land, and the rest of the book kind of goes through that. But everything about it is so good. Just his voice, his writing, something about how the voice dips in and out of the consciousness and addresses the reader. It reminded me of Shakespeare or Faulkner. It was funny at points. It made me want to read all of Damon Galgut's other books. Like I said, it was the best book I read this year. I'm almost certain it'll be at or near the top of my ones at the end of the year. It's really one of the best things I've read in a long time. It made you think, but it's also really, really well paced and goes by quickly. Everything about it is great. The Promise by Damon Galgut.
I'm going to read that. That was a great recommendation. Sounds good. Booker Prize is always a weird one. Whenever you hear about they won the Booker Prize, you couldn't. Every other nominee, I've never heard of this shit. They just shortlisted or longlisted people, and I went through it and had no idea.
Yes, sometimes, and I've read a bunch of. Sometimes they hit for me, sometimes they don't. But this one was a great choice. South African writer.
Cool. I didn't do a special one for episode 200, but Aaron, you you recommended Jury Duty because it was episode 200, right?
Of course,
yeah.
Everyone's talking about it.
I read this book came out very recently, had great reviews. People seem to really like it, and I got into it and loved it. It's called Biography of X by Catherine Lacey. It's a story. It's written by the widow of Madonna would be the wrong parallel, but an artist, a great female artist who had made music, done some art, and was just
I've heard of this.
A little bit of a Lydia Tarr type person. And the artist dies, and a biographer, unauthorized biography comes out and really pisses off the widow. It was I don't like this. I'm going to go write my own, and just kind of prove that he's wrong, and then gets into it. And by talking to people throughout her wife's life, realizes kind of what a shitty person she was, and not the great. It's the myth was kind of bigger than the actual person, and I thought it was very interesting. A little bit of a alt history kind of thing, where there's some. It's not the America that we know today, but as a portrait of an artist, especially throughout their career, I thought it was brilliant and well worth reading. I really enjoyed it. Again, that's Biography of X by Catherine Lacey. Check it out, and that was. Recommendation Station. Gregg, let's get to JRVP Erotic Fan Fiction.
Okay. We are reading this in order, I guess. Our top 5.
We're going to top 5. We're going to start at number 5. And then we're gonna read them and then go to number 1. And number 1, we will email you. We have your emails here. We won't read your emails. We'll give you your name. But then we're going to email you and ask the number 1 winner if you want the robe. And if you do, give us your address. We'll send you the robe. Or do you want what's in the mystery box? Okay.
The first story is by Adam Tomlinson. And yeah, just to make this list, I mean, if you made the top 20, that was an honor. You won't ever know. Top 10, making the top 5.
Listen, again, there were so many. We couldn't possibly read all of them. And you wouldn't have wanted to hear all of them. But top 5 was great. And we want to give people credit for nailing it.
All right, this one has a title. It's called The Entertainers. You're on in 1 minute, Aaron instructed Gregg through his AirPods. He'd spent months working on his 15 minutes, his chance to open for Anthony, but his nerves were afire. His jokes had killed with his NFL friends, but what would the German audience think? The minute passed and Gregg took the stage. The audience applauded. His confidence soared. So, Gregg said, beaming, what's the deal with the gay agenda? Instantly, he realized his mistake. The audience was filled with sexy men in leather thongs. He thumbed the cyanide pill his best friend had given him, but before he could fall into death's warm embrace, Anthony appeared from behind the velvet curtain. The audience roared as he pulled down his friend's cheap track pants, revealing his secret, his micropenis. Should have gone higher. Anthony whistled, and Rummy ran on stage, the corpse of seaweed in his teeth. The world-famous comic took the dead turtle and put it in Gregg's mouth. Play him like a harmonica, Anthony shouted as Rummy's lapping tongue brought Gregg to a full half-inch erection. The audience cheered as he hummed Old MacDonald, imagining Rummy as a goat or sheep or hotter animal. Then he climaxed. You okay there, Aaron? It's perfectly timed. Then he climaxed, covering the crowd like a Gallagher performance. Tears of ecstasy and shame flowed down his cheeks, and the last thing he remembered before passing out was Anthony whispering in his ear, "You are now qualified to be a comedian." There we go.
That was great. That's how strong the top 5 are. That was number 5.
I don't know. That might be my favorite.
The top 5 could have gone anywhere in the top 5, in the top 4, but the number 1 was number 1, and then. But listen, Adam Tomlinson, you nailed it. You got us to laugh, even though Gregg and I had already read this before. You got Aaron's phone to go off, and then for him to say "damn it" into the microphone after the ringer stopped.
Like right when the literal climax is happening.
Which is hilarious.
I did like that. The line covered the crowd like a Gallagher performance is what really did it for me. But like I said, I like the ones that went a little left of center. They didn't attack it just head on. This one was.
We got so many of the head on ones that the left of center stood out more. And that's why Adam Tomlinson is the episode 200 JRVP Listener of the Week.
Wow. That's an honor. All right, our next one.
I'll tell you right now, the JRVP Listener, the JRVP Listener of the Week.
All right, what's number 4?
All right, it's from Thomas Eddington.
You know what? Let me read number 4. I don't want to sit here and just listen to you read all of them.
Okay.
All right, this is from Thomas Eddington. Gregg was a young, hot intern at Jeselnik. He came from a small town with just his dead turtle seaweed's body. Today was the day he met his hero, Anthony, who had given him everything in life. Enter the room, barked Anthony as Gregg sat nervously in his secretary Aaron's waiting room. Shaking with intimidation, Gregg nervously said, "It's an honor, Anthony. I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity." "Quiet, boy," shouted the Prince of Darkness. "Your mouth isn't for thanking, it's for sucking. Now get down on all fours like my amazing dog Rummy," Anthony demanded. Gregg nervously shielded his delicate face and started crying. "You mean you just want me for sex?" "Yes, Gregg. Sex," Anthony said calmly. Anthony stood up from his desk, and Gregg shockingly realized he only had cowboy boots on below his waist. Anthony quickly asserted his dominance over Gregg. He knew this wasn't going to be the first time he would have to. Gregg was shy at first, but quickly started enjoying Anthony's giant dick all over his body. "Oh yeah," cried Gregg. "Oh yeah." "Is everything all right in there, boss?" Aaron chimed in over the intercom. "Yes, Aaron, everything is fine. You can have him soon after I'm done." Aaron loved Anthony's sloppy seconds. "Thanks, boss," Aaron squealed with delight. Gregg blushed with excitement. He was dripping wet, sore as ever. He knew from that point forward his time at Jeselcorp was going to be boners and all. That was a great one. I'm glad I read that one. And that's why Thomas Eddington is our JRVP, Listener of the Week.
I'll tell you right now, the JRVP Listener of the Week. Now the JRVP Listener of the Week. The JRVP Listener of the Week.
I think that sexy story made Anthony's dance a little hotter there. I think that was a callback to sex from way back in JRVP. All right, our next one. Do you want to read this one? This is the Maverick one.
Sure, I'll read this one.
Or do you want me to?
I'll read it.
Okay.
All right, this is from Kevin Beard. Anthony briefly clung even tighter to Pete Maverick Mitchell as the motorbike cruised to a stop in front of Anthony's house. Anthony hopped off the bike and headed up the stairs. A dejected Maverick stared longingly at the graceful, sensual sway of Anthony's hips. He hardly had a moment to sulk before realizing the front door was left open. A tacit invitation to fuck Anthony's butthole. They fucked. It was a good fuck. A sated Anthony lays his head on Maverick's chest. Should I go before Maverick asked? No. He's with his family. Good to see you two are still close. The podcast helps, Anthony replies. Junior Vice President, Maverick whispers in a coy, concupiscent? Concupiscent.
That was the tripping of your dick moment of the year.
Concupiscent. I mean, this word is a tripping of your dick in letter form. Anthony giggles, but their joy is cut short. They hear someone downstairs. Maverick darts to the closet. Puzzled, he shuts the door and turns back to a now half-dressed Anthony. There's a guy and a dog in there, Maverick says. Wait, there's a guy and a dog in there? Maverick says. That's Aaron and Rummy, Anthony replies casually. They like to watch when I bring a seaman home. Oh. What'd you think, guys? Anthony shouts. Bones and all, a voice shouts, followed by an approving bark. The window, Anthony instructs. Maverick shuffles out, jumps down, and lands beside the front porch. His glee fades as he looks up to see Gregg calmly staring back at him. Maverick, unable to speak, simply shrugs. This is seaweed, Gregg said, and held up a dead sea turtle. Gross, Maverick answered. I like this. I like to take the love scene in Top Gun Maverick and combine it with the JRVP erotic fan fiction was a nice touch. Kind of left a little left of center of just me and Gregg fucking the whole time.
A lot of those.
And Aaron got to watch, which was great. And this scene, it's hot, but it's not as hot as the actual love scene in Top Gun Maverick. I will say, but despite this, Kevin Beard is our JRVP Listener of the Week.
The JRVP Listener of the Week. The JRVP Listener. The JRVP Listener of the Week.
Okay. You read the next one.
All right. The next one's called Indoctrination by Dylan.
Should we make
Greer.
Aaron read this one? No, he doesn't have it.
All right.
I have it.
Aaron, do you want to read it?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Please let me out of here. I can't take it anymore. Aaron's voice shook through the wall. I've watched 90 minutes of this garbage. I've probably missed the first inning of the Cardinals-Phillies game. Let me out. Let me out. Gregg winced at the pain in Aaron's voice. It had been his idea to force-feed Aaron Todd Field's masterpiece, Tar, by prying his eyelids open, a Clockwork Orange style. But he was starting to lose his nerve. Anthony came up behind him and tenderly put his hand on Gregg's shoulders, rubbing them. It's okay. He needs this. We're doing him a favor, Anthony whispered. I know, Gregg said hesitantly. I'm just worried we've gone too far. What if the stress gives him the penis cancer? Anthony chuckled and said, you're always concerned about that. Have you never even heard? I know, Gregg said, stepping away from Anthony's grip. I just think we need to, hey, Anthony said, a firmness in his voice, subverted slightly by his mischievous grin. What's the dirtiest part of the human body? Gregg chuckled. They embraced again, falling into bed together.
Well written, well read. That was Indoctrination. I think, was it Indoctrination or Indoctrination? Whatever. It's spelled Indoctrination. I don't know what words are anymore today. That was Dylan Greer, and that's why Dylan Greer is our JRVP, Listener of the Week.
I'll tell you right now, the JRVP Listener. The JRVP Listener of the Week.
I gotta say, after reading all of these, I wish we had sort of read them and then maybe decided, like what felt us in the moment. Because I gotta say, that first one still.
It would have taken too long.
Adam Tomlinson. I'm just saying, Adam, if you're out there listening, I think you should have been higher on the list than fifth. But I love all of these.
Who put these in order? once they were.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
If you want, you could say if the number we're about to read number 1, if the writer of number 1 does not want the robe, wants the mystery box, do we give the robe to that first guy?
That's what I'm feeling right now.
Okay. All right. So this is a lot of pressure on. I'm going to say it. I think I'm pronouncing this right. Lauren Hovey. Lauren Hovey is our winner. Really left field, really outside the box. And listen, there were some versions of this, but this was the best version by far, and it was far enough left. You know, this podcast, Aaron, which way do we lean?
Oh, pretty far left.
Yeah, we lean left. So when something's left outside of the box to the left, we're putting in number 1. You want to read it?
You want me to?
Yeah.
All right. Again, this is from Lauren Hovey. There once was a man named Gregory who wanted to do some peggery. He thrusted and thrusted until he finally busted, despite of all of Anthony's beggary. When Anthony fucks, he goes bones and all, pressing all the way into Gregg's colon wall. Not Brady, not Jenner, no, not even Renner can take a cock quite like Rosenthal. In Rosenthal's most wild fantasy, he's entered by his favorite man to see. While previously Gregg was 60% G, he's also now 2% Anthony. Rummy is a dog from a factory. His shits offend organs olfactory. While he may be unfertile, he'll make love to a turtle, for an empty shell cannot be refractory. Anthony's dick pays Gregg's fawner fee. At the Big Cock Awards, he's the honoree. And from a corner, Gregg hears oral lube for his ears. It's Aaron doing his best Sean Connery. Anthony, the male organ donor, once discovered that Gregg was a moaner. But neither man knew that cameraman Stu had returned with his camera and a boner. From his pants, Anthony was extracted. To his best friend, he found himself attracted. These cowboy boots boys needed a source of joy, for it was Octo No Child redacted.
Love it. This has it all. And bringing in cameraman Stu was the coup de grace. That's original JRVP days. R.I.P. cameraman Stu. Loved it. Very clever. Very good. I enjoyed it. Really kind of it had it all. It really did have it all. So thank you, Lauren Hovey. I will be getting in touch. I will email you. I'll have Miss Kim email you and ask if you want the robe, and we will send it to you right away. Or do you want the mystery box? And we'll find out. And then we'll get your address, send it to you. And if you take the mystery box, then guess what? We will email Adam Tomlinson. And Adam can choose the robe or a second mystery box. And we'll go on down the list. But someone's going to want that robe, I got to think.
I don't know. I mean, people get pretty excited about mystery box.
I know.
It's like anything could be inside.
Anything. It could be anything.
Even another mystery box.
Mm-hmm. Even a rope. So that's why Lauren Hovey is our JRVP listener of the week.
The JRVP listener. The JRVP listener. The JRVP listener of the week.
Imagine if you started with this episode. If you had never listened to the podcast before, I'm just like, I'll do 200, I'll do that. You would hate us so much. But if you've been a long-time listener, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope we gave you enough in the Jeselnik and Rosenthal Vanity Project.
JRVP. Junior Vice President.
Episode 200. Aaron, did you enjoy it?
Oh, yeah.
Did you feel like it was like bones and all?
Bones and more.
Huh. You think you can just change my trademark phrase?
It's literally the tour.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Fuck it. Walker, get us out of here.
Whoa, Nelly Focaccia, that's a spicy meatball.